I used to lead all the cloud and infrastructure for North America. I was fortunate to build the largest private cloud and AI infrastructure in North America for a Fortune 50 company. In the past, was the founder of cloud practice at Cognizant. And I know I'm going to talk about why I formed NGN, but before that, let me pass it on to Sri just to give a quick introduction, and then we can get into NGN.
I work with People Inc. We are no longer Dotdash Meredith. We are the largest digital publisher in the US for both digital and print publishing. I've been with People for the last 13 years through a number of acquisitions and growth. We are here. And I've been partnering with Rajat and NGN for the past 18 months, and it's been an incredible journey. It's been an incredible value that he and the organization has added to our capability.
There are boutique firms who specialize in very specific area, right? So they are good in, say, ServiceNow, or they are good in SAP ERP systems, or Salesforce, or Shopify for that matter. We heard a Shopify story earlier today. But they miss out on the big picture when we talk about how an organization should build their strategy, and which has become more and more prominent these days because of so many external forces. You need to build an enterprise which is highly flexible, highly agile, and composable because of so many changes happening from the perspective of the climate and doing business, and of course with the advent of AI, right? So that's where we formed this company to help clients with strategy, advisory, and architecture. And again, on the architecture side, it's not just technology architecture. We operate a lot on business architecture and operating models from the business perspective also. And of course, it encompasses the people aspect, the org design aspect also, right? And we are focused on three core areas, which is data. And we've heard for you to implement AI, one of the most critical factor is the data foundation, right? So we help clients build that data foundation through which they can make a quantum leap in terms of embracing the AI and maintain the competitive edge, which is very, very critical. And then third is, of course, the cloud. After having done so much work in the cloud space, I thought most of the service delivery today is happening through AI infrastructure or cloud infrastructure, be it AI workloads, be it data workloads, the big data workloads, or be it the ERP workloads, right, for that matter. If you look in the right-hand side, there are 6 levers which I have designed. And I've also published a recent paper in Forbes. So I'm a thought leader on Forbes Technology Council. So these 6 areas, if you look into it, the 3 were always existing, right? In terms of why and where you should outsource your services, right? So the first area was primarily focused on technology evolution, because we've seen the world coming from legacy mainframe architectures, old legacy systems, to the new agentic AI platforms, right? So which is, again, driving today in terms of where the workload should go from the service delivery point of view, right? The second core area is primarily the IT processes, right? And again, the process is very critical and important because we've seen those processes moving from waterfall methodologies to agile, composable architectures. And now, of course, it's AI-driven, not only just code generation or code testing, but also AI-driven scaling and, again, marketing and advertising also, including the requirement gathering piece, right? And then, again, the third piece is, again, we spoke about the models shifting on the engagement side from just providing resources from LATAM to providing fixed price, defined deliverable kind of work. But most importantly is how can we also get into the next league where most of the US companies are going, primarily getting into a outcome-based delivery, value realization, which has become more important than any time in the world because of the AI and a lot of valuation we see going haywire. But the question mark is, where is the value realization and how we are actually showcasing that value realization at a business level rather than only at technology or IT level, right? And then, of course, India has been a superpower for offshoring and global delivery, primarily starting from labor arbitrage or low-cost delivery. But those days of low-cost delivery are gone now. And that's where LATAM has a great advantage, right? Even if we want to charge a premium of, say, 15 to 20% over offshore, but here we get work done in the same time zone. So there can be new concepts of agile delivery, agile development, peer programming, and again, you can get into design thinking sessions, you can call the resources from LATAM, and that's where it brings to the next in terms of resource movement. And then finally, last but not the least, is the managing AI disruption. Is primarily where all you are infusing AI, be it the business process side or IT infrastructure side. We've seen IT infrastructure evolving from infrastructure as a code to prompt as a to infrastructure as a prompt, right? With prompt engineering and AI coming in, right? So that's where I wanted to just set the stage and give you a view of what we are trying to do. I'll hand it over to Sreejith to take it forward and walk through the case study. Yeah.
It's no longer the cost arbitrage, right? It is how do you really support the strategic impatience of businesses and business leaders in a world where we have to actually deliver to the users, to the business, way quickly than we used to do previously. If you, again, I've been in the industry for 20 plus years, I'm old. But when I started, it was all about the waterfall model that he touched upon, right? Like how do you deliver a project in 6 months or a year is how we approach it. That's no longer true. My CEO wants features to be delivered in a day or two now. That is the strategic impatience that I'm talking about. And that, the time zone that he mentioned has a very big relevance in that context, right? Because when that is what leaders are expecting, we want to be able to iterate very quickly. And being able to work with an engineer who is in the same time zone is a very strategic advantage there. Now, again, using AI, like it's democratizing knowledge, right? If you compare against like the industrial revolution that happened in 50s and 60s, what happened is the barrier for actually producing goods really came down. And the same thing is happening in the knowledge economy now. You are able to actually build a breadth of knowledge using these tools very quickly. You don't need to know all of the technology yourself. You can lean on these tools. And engineers in South America who are actually really embracing these tools is a big, big differentiator for all of us as business leaders, right, and engineering leaders. How do we really lean into that, and how do we use that to actually help businesses move forward very quickly is what we are thinking about. And that's where NGN has been a very strategic partner, because it's not just about providing a resource, providing an engineering capacity, which many can do, right? But can you really be my thought partner? No, I don't have a solution for all of the problems that I have, but when I'm able to actually bounce off ideas with you and use that as an input in making my decisions, you become my strategic partner, right? And that's how you all should be thinking about how to actually provide more value to your partners. We have been actually really embracing AI from last 18 months, right? Because I think Dave and Ed mentioned this. It is here. It is disruption. You cannot ignore it. Getting through the chaos, getting through the disruption is your best way forward. Embrace it, upskill the engineers as much as possible. What we did was, like in partnership with NGN, we actually built a curriculum called Skill Bridge, right? It's Bridge. Basically, the intention was to actually have engineers learn on the job, not just sit and go through Coursera courses or whatever it may be, right? That does not really help you in this age. It does not. If you want to actually take course for 12 months and come back and apply that knowledge, it's not going to help you. You're already forgotten, right? It's like Skill Bridge was a concept that we came up with, where we are actually allowing engineers to use these tools, then apply that knowledge immediately, right? And that helped engineers to really move beyond what they have done traditionally in the last 12 months or 24 months, right? Like QA engineers who are actually able to be partners with product managers because they can actually look at the look at the requirements and actually poke holes in it as a partner to the product managers. Those QA engineers in LATAM are extremely valuable because they know. They have the business context. They're able to use that business context. They're able to use these tools very effectively and be an integral part of the team, right? And those engineers will continue to be valuable, right? Because AI is scary, but at the same time, it's assisted intelligence, right? That's how we term it internally. In terms of like software development workflow, we are actually infusing AI into almost every aspect, whether it is requirement analysis, test case generation, code generation, all of that aspects of the engineering role is changing. Jobs are not going away immediately, at least immediately. That's what I believe very personally and very strongly, right? But jobs are changing rapidly. What it meant to be a QA engineer yesterday is not what it will mean to be an engineer tomorrow in 24 months. It's changing very rapidly, right? It's probably going to be an engineer and not necessarily a very specific functional engineer. That will be the norm in 2 years. An engineer who is contributing to infrastructure, who is contributing to code generation, who is contributing to testing it, who is contributing to deploying that into production. All of that is going to be the norm, right? Like really this T-shaped engineers where there may have deep expertise in one or two areas, but you have an immense breadth in what you bring to the table. Those are the kind of engineers that we should be looking for. Even in the interview processes now, we actually encourage engineers to use these tools. We tell them, please, use ChatGPT. Let us see how we are using these tools. Because if you think about the assisted intelligence, what it means is like, how are you constructing the context is going to be very important. So when we are asking the engineers to actually like solve a problem, what we want to see is how are you decomposing that problem and interacting with the LLMs. That is what we look for. I want to see how that engineer construct the context for the LLM. That's what we want to see.
So I'll just give an example. So I also teach machine learning to class of MBA at the local college in TCNJ, right? And when I looked into their curriculum was all programming in Python, R programming, and that too to class of MBA. So I was like zapped. Why do you want to teach those programming language to build an LLM? So because these MBA graduates are going to come and use the LLMs for business performance, for business productivity. So what you should be teaching them is how you can actually exploit the maximum potential of LLM, prompt engineering, right? Looking into which LLM gives best output in what scenario, right? From the business process side, right? So that's what Sri was referring to.
We also built a framework in how do we assess our engineers are adopting these tools and technologies, right? We look at, are they at the end of the spectrum where they are very scared about this technology, where you think hallucination is still a drawback. In fact, hallucination is a feature, right? Because as humans, don't we lie? We all do.
I'll probably move on and we'll see some of the value we created jointly along with Sri and his broader team. And why I want Sri to talk about value realization is because that's a topic which is very, very close to my heart. Be it living in the data world or cloud world or AI or tomorrow when we go to quantum computing, right? I always want to associate everything with business results, the value realization,
yeah.
Right? Sri.
Yeah, totally true, right? Because as engineering leaders, we have a tendency to think we can solve everything, right? But At least that's what me and my peers and people always talk about. But what we also realize is the whole point of us as engineering leaders in an organization, in a business, is to actually deliver value to the business. That's it. Simple. It's the ability of the business leaders to come up with initiatives that they think would make money, that they think would be the future. But as engineering leaders, we support them in actually delivering value to the business. And that's the same thing that applies to all kinds of partnerships. We are all partners. It's an ecosystem. We have to look at it as an ecosystem.
How do you upskill, cross-skill resources, right? I think it is more to do with the culture of an organization.
Yeah.
And we are living in the cultural shift, a complete 180-degree cultural shift. And Sri and his team has been so awesome in terms of making that cultural change, that our experts who are maybe living right from Mexico to Chile, the whole value chain of all the LATAM, they don't feel that they are working remotely or they are working in isolation, because they feel as if they are part of the extended team of People Inc., right? And People Inc. take all the efforts to even fly them to their delivery and development centers, to get into design thinking sessions, to work together, define what outcome I want, and be a part of that outcome. So I now take more ownership, right, of the whole thing, right? At the same time, the rewards and recognition of People Inc. get infused into those experts coming from NGN also. Great, Sri. So, Sri, I'll probably go to one of the core metrics and theme which we picked up especially for this presentation, which is QOE, quality of experience, right? And when we talk about experience, it's not the experience which NGN brings to technology organization like Sri, right? It's the experience what Shri's organization bring to their development teams, right? The developer experience. And it's not end there. It's the experience what those developers bring to the content teams, to the product teams, to the marketing teams, and finally to the business, right? So it's a value chain of quality of experience which we work towards, right? And even to the customers of People Inc., right? As well as partners of People Inc., right? So three core facets in which we work on value realization. One, of course, I spoke about quality of experience. The second is COD, which is cost of delivery, right? At the same time, Shri had an option to get this whole program executed by a US partner like, say, Accenture or Deloitte or any of the big boys, right, like Capgemini or anyone. But why he picked NGN and why he picked Nearshore, right? Because it's the balance we have to maintain, right, between the kind of quality we want to get, at the same time, the kind of budgets we want to spend, right? So that's basically talks about the COD. And the third thing, I know Sri spoke about it at length, was the speed to market, the accelerated speed, right? And that's where, and I know Sri, we started a couple of years back. But that time, their release frequency was going into the months cycle, right? How we brought it down from monthly release to 3 to 4 releases per day.
Yeah.
Right.
Again, look, it's developer experience, right? How do you enable developers to move faster, right? That's part of what we are always trying to solve. The more tools, the more pipelines, the more workflows that we give to the engineers, the better. Because they are here to help solve problems for us as well. And if there are challenges in how they are accomplishing their work, how do you remove it one by one? Right? And that developer experience is going to be key in a world where code generation is no longer the strength. Right? Like, how do you create that developer experience? And that is where some of these metrics are extremely crucial.